Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a different video. I don't know if you could tell by the title. It's a pretty popular anime if you're into that kind of stuff, and I told myself I wasn't going to do a video branching off from any of my main content just yet. If you're not familiar, this channel is I mostly upload content, or up to this point solely have uploaded content related to competitive Pokemon, but I just decided that I'm just gonna use this channel for now. I'm just starting out. I'm gonna upload whatever the heck I feel like, and this is something that I felt like uploading. It's not really gonna be a review of the Kill la Kill finale. I just noticed there weren't any videos yet regarding the topic, and as of this point, it's not released on Crunchyroll yet. And I mean, if it's going to be released only for premium members. I'm not really interested in that. And but I did find another website that has the stream to every single Kill la Kill episode to date. Well, we got all of them. The series ended. So I'll put that in the description box for you to watch before watching this video, because I am going to discuss some spoilers. I'm not gonna go out of my way to be super explicit about everything that goes on in the episode. I'm just gonna tell you my thoughts. Again, it's not a review, it's just me venting, because this is my channel. I can upload whatever I feel like. So I'll give you a second to click the link so I can avoid spoiling anything. Alright, so about this episode. First, I'm gonna tell you some of my thoughts before going into this episode, especially just some theories around other videos on YouTube that I happen to comment on. One of the things I thought is, I was actually kind of surprised they didn't play off of this, is the life fiber bullet in all the way back in episode 11. Unless I'm mistaken, Mikisugi never uses that bullet, and I thought that would come into play during this episode, just because it was set to it was said to be able to stop a Kamui, or a God Robe in the English, like a purely English subtitles. There's two different versions of the subtitles. I personally prefer Kamui, but I can't pronounce either very well, so it doesn't matter. But and I was also I was right in that, like, people were on YouTube commenting on videos and putting up death flags on all sorts of characters, kind of like if this is Evangelion, or people were comparing it to Gurren Lagann. And I mean, personally, just from the beginning, I could tell this isn't going to be one of those series where characters just where they just die, I didn't get that kind of vibe from this series. Like, people were saying that Mako was gonna die. She doesn't, by the way. Like, it's just that with a series like Kill la Kill that's so balls to the wall, and that strips anime to the very foundation of just raw entertainment, I don't think that the creators had any incentive to kill off any characters. Like, it doesn't contribute anything to the to the show to just gratuitously, like Euro Butcher style, all these characters. People were placing death flags on some of the Elite Four. Like, at that point, the only characters I could see dying, like, that would have an actual purpose in the plot, were Ryuko and Satsuki. And I'll tell you right now, either after you watch the episode yourself, or if you just don't care about spoilers, neither of them die, and none of the Elite Four die. And I guess maybe Trigger was aware of all the death flags that they've been putting on, especially Gamagori. They do kind of fake you out in the beginning by making it seem like he died, but he doesn't. I was actually pretty shocked. I thought I had been mistaken in assuming that that death flags weren't really a thing in this anime like they were in Gurren Lagann, or I don't know. I can't think of another anime off the top of my head. Psycho-Pass, that was a big one. They really, like, just from the beginning, you knew Masaoka was gonna die at one point or another. It was a huge death flag. Just the whole archetype of his character as the old mentor, but and that's sort of like what some people saw Gamagori as, but that wasn't really the case, as you could see from the episode. And my overall thoughts, I was really impressed with some of the, especially the animation. You didn't see all of that shoddy, like, I had a term for it, but it kind of reminded me like some of the really old animation from 90s anime, like Saint Seiya or DBZ. It was really, I remember it actually kind of put me off the first time I went into this anime. And it especially started to show up more in the later episodes as they were getting tighter on their animation budget. But this time around, it seems that the quality has gone back to what it was during the first half, which was a lot better than the second half, I think. And I also thought the ending was kind of because there's a lot of fake outs in this episode. You think, like, you go into 10 minutes of the episode and it seems like everything is over, like the conflict is resolved. Like I said, that's one of the things I love about this anime. It's so fast. It's so fast paced. It's supposed to be, yeah, this the final showdown against Kiryu and Ragyo, but the first time they beat her, it happens within a matter of like 30 seconds. Like if you've already watched the episode, you know, like Senketsu. Yeah. What happens is Ryuko has to take off Senketsu to break away from the mind control, and then Senketsu manages to break away on his own, and he pierces a hole into the Koketsu, the Ragyo's god robe, where Hohomaru was, which was like sacrificing Hohomaru was the key to Ragyo's plan after the original life fiber goes inactive, and the original life fiber actually does somewhat come back to life in this episode, but that's later. But yeah, like even in the end, the like your typical, you know, like shonen, like, I mean technically Kill la Kill is a seinen just because of all of the more mature themes in general, and of course the fan service, but the fights do, like, all the action does remind me of a shonen, except it's a lot more fast paced, and it just tends to progress quicker with the content. It doesn't like, I remember a lot of people, including myself, criticize the big three of shonen, which I consider to be Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, for having fights that extended. They just tried to do shonens, like big manga-based shonens like that, try to do so much with their action sequences. They overexert themselves in trying to make every fight look more epic than the last. And Kill la Kill is not really like that. I really couldn't believe that they could fit that finale in 24 minutes. It was pretty incredible. And in the conclusion, I was pretty satisfied with how it ended. The one thing that Kill la Kill did borrow from like a shonen trope is the idea of Ryuko getting like an ultimate form at the end, in which she absorbs every single Ultima uniform or Goku uniform in the academy to fight Ragyo. But again, that yeah, she goes up into space to fight Ragyo, and that whole sequence happens in about 3 minutes, both the fight and her final confrontation with Ragyo. And I was also pretty shocked that that Trigger decided to go through with the Cocoon Genesis plan actually succeeds. The Ragyo manages to activate all the life fibers and turn everyone into clothes. But Ryuko manages to defeat her, as well as find a way to revert all of the humans to their original state, and she basically casts away all of the life fibers on Earth. And she actually tries to convince Ragyo to come back with her peacefully, but Ragyo is like, Ragyo essentially commits suicide just out of sheer pride, spouting some nonsense about how about how life fibers will come back. But the one thing, if there's anything close to an actual casualty in terms of main characters, it is Senketsu. I actually didn't see this coming, but but in retrospect, it made so much sense that Senketsu would have to Well, essentially, they made it seem like he died. And another theory I had before going into this episode is, after some thought, I really thought Ryuko was gonna die, just because I was under the assumption that that defeating Ragyo would mean the extermination of all life fibers, and since Ryuko herself is like Ragyo and Harime Nui, and she has life fibers infused into her, that she would have to die in order to ultimately purge all of the life fibers on Earth. But it doesn't end up that way, even though I thought that was it was a stronger theory than the life fiber bullet nonsense. But yeah, they make it seem like Senketsu has lost, not lost, he's pretty much, because he pretty much absorbs Ragyo's Kamui, and in the process he kind of destroys himself from the inside out. At least that's similar to how he explains it. But then towards the very end of the episode, and I gotta touch on the end, it's I like how they lifted the mood a little bit after the initial loss of Senketsu. I mean, Ryuko and Satsuki were already reconciliated, but before, during, I think it was episode 21, 22, when they do that, they're still very awkward around each other, and in this episode you really see them develop the relationship with each other as sisters. And like the last few scenes of the episode is Mako, Satsuki, and Ryuko just hanging out together, and Ryuko without Senketsu. And I also gotta touch on this one little detail, is that they is when Satsuki appears in that scene, she has like a bobbed haircut now. I couldn't tell if it was like a I have to rewatch it. I couldn't tell if her hair was just like in a bun, but to me it looked like she cut off her hair, and it looks, I mean, she still looks attractive, but it just doesn't match with the eyebrows, and it kind of put me off for a second. I almost didn't recognize her until I realized yeah, I was watching and I'm like, oh my goodness, is that Satsuki at the very end? And the reason I tell you that it seems like Senketsu is dead is because, like, I'm talking like literally the last 10 seconds of the episode, Ryuko, like, out of the corner of her eye catches a glimpse of this like toddler wearing a sailor uniform that looks exactly like Senketsu, and then she, like, the episode ends with her smiling, and then that's it. And throughout this whole scene, like, the credits are rolling, and like the ending music's playing. I believe it was the first ending music and not the second one. But overall, I was pretty satisfied with how the conclusion of the anime, it held on to all of the major themes throughout. It never really it's because Kill la Kill has always been an anime with a certain tone surrounding it, a certain tone of just raw entertainment chaos, and it never abandons that, even in the most dramatic moments in which the anime actually starts to take itself a little bit more seriously in the second half. It's still, the style of the animation and even the dialogue too, it never abandons that the almost lighthearted tone, despite the more serious themes in the last act of the Kill la Kill series. So I really like that. And like I said before, I feel like if they had started killing off characters at the very end, it would have been like the series as a whole was going out of character in and of itself. And that's another trap a lot of shonens fall into that this one thankfully didn't. Well, I guess except with Senketsu, but that was that's different. It's appropriate. Like, if Gamagori had actually died, and it was also very abrupt. They really do make it seem like he died when Harime Nui stabbed him, and it did kind of take me out of the experience, because it was so unlike the tone put off in the rest of the series, in which the main characters are just these they're these immortal beings of destruction and chaos that are really meant to just entertain the audience. Kill la Kill is a love letter to anime fans all the way to the end. That's all I can say. And it never contradicts itself by having unnecessary deaths in the end. And I've always felt like that was the case from the beginning, when people were on on YouTube commenting, "Oh, this character's gonna die," or "and that character's gonna die" because of whatever stupid death flag. It just no, I couldn't see it happening in this particular series. It wasn't in the nature of the tone it set throughout the series. And the series as a whole is almost like a parody of shonen anime in general. And that's another thing I really liked about the series, that it never really contradicted itself in that aspect either. I remember back in like episode, I think it was also episode, no, it was episode 10, during Ryuko's fight with Inamuta. And this is when the series really warmed up to me. Up until that point, I was still pretty skeptical of it. It was when he is analyzing Ryuko, and she's like, "I know your type. You're always spouting crap like I can analyze all of your abilities and I can anticipate all of your moves." And that's when I really fell in love with the series as a whole, because that was really, that line from Ryuko was really telling of what this anime, part of what this anime was trying to do in regards to reforming the shonen genre. Because I mean, it's so true. You hear that. That's every single minor villain in every single shonen. It's always yeah, it's just that cliche. That episode in particular was when I really started to get hooked on the series, and it didn't disappoint in the end. And yeah, that's all I have to say. And it's actually kind of ironic that this video is gonna come before my introduction video, like just who I am, where I come from, to make these videos in general. But that'll have more to do with the main content of this channel, which I want to be competitive Pokemon. So even if you're not exactly all that into that, do check out my other videos, and if it interests you, you know, go visit Smogon, go visit Nugget Bridge. It's a fun thing to do. But for now, here is probably the first I guess reaction would be the best way to call it to the Kill la Kill finale and the series as a whole. Alright, bye.